you're 27, 28 years old, and by
wish.
a windfall, you happen to come across a huge amount of money. You got $100,000 that comes in randomly. Okay, and so the question that we have for you today is between saving that, setting it aside for retirement, versus going out and buying a house. Okay, how are you in the long run? Big picture, Brad Connors, which is the better way to do this, right? How do you play that at that young age if you come into a windfall and now you have this house versus if you just invest it for retirement, all of a sudden you have a very different retirement, versus the house thing. Talk me through that. How does that work?
Yeah, it really depends on the person or couple and what's going on in their life. And that's the salesman answer. It depends.
Come on, Brad, give us a real answer.
Yeah, exactly. However, what you really need to pay attention to is, one, what is their debt situation like? Like if they've got a bunch of bad debt, they've got to service that debt first, like credit cards and stuff like that, and then get rid of it and just wipe it out.
Okay.
However, when you look at a house and purchasing a house, it can be an investment. It really can. You got to live somewhere.
Okay.
But I don't like having debt on houses either. However, 15-year mortgages are at 2% right now.
Cheap
right?
money.
Cheap money. And so if you can do the arbitrage, meaning you buy the house and you borrow it at 2% and you can invest some of it, can you win at both sides of it? And I think the answer is yes, you can. There's good debt and bad debt. I really don't like any debt, especially when you're retired. None, period. However, I would probably split the difference, Matt. So I would say let's find a reasonable house. You're not going to buy one for $100,000 anyway.
No.
So let's find a reasonable house. Let's say it's $175,000. Let's put 20 or 30% down, and then let's take the other chunk of that and let's put that in an investment. But you have to take on more risk than a 2% rate of return, right? Let's try to get 5, 6, 7% on the investment. Down the road, if you ever want to sell the investment and pay off the house, you still have the cash to do it. But I would first wipe out that other debt, any other debt, car debt, any of that stuff. I'd get rid of it.
Get it off the books.
But the house debt, I might borrow some money at 2% and invest some of it and play the arbitrage in the hopes that the investment does better than 2 over a 10 and 15-year period.
Because you're signing up for 15 years at least, just because that's what it'll take to get through the debt on the house.
What I see mostly, though, is I see people that have gotten in trouble. They get an inheritance like that.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden we sit down and there's $30,000 on credit card and car and just really bad debt. And they want to invest it because they just don't want to see their 100 turn to 70 overnight.
Yeah.
But they really got to get rid of that debt. But before we do it, it's a big conversation about no more credit cards and no more of this stuff of just putting it on plastic. We're just going to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And I would say 60% of the time they listen, but 40% of the time you'll find people 5 years later that just can't pull themselves off of that keeping up with the Joneses mentality and spending money that they shouldn't be spending. So, yeah, it's an interesting topic you posed to me.
It is an interesting topic. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. Hopefully that was a little helpful for any of you guys that have had big windfalls.
I hope you get a lot of them.
All right, we'll see you back here next time.
Thanks, Matt.